Welcome to Info Now. Today, we are putting on our detective hats and traveling way, way back in time. Our mission? We're going to solve a 400,000-year-old mystery, a case that all started with a single, tiny spark that completely changed everything for humanity. For decades, this question has been one of archaeology's biggest puzzles. We knew our ancient relatives could use fire they found, from lightning strikes or whatever, but when did they actually figure out how to create it themselves? That's been a total blank. Until now. A really groundbreaking discovery in a quiet part of England has just given us a stunning answer. So let's dig in. For the longest time, our timeline of fire had this huge, mysterious gap. See, we have proof that over 1 million years ago, early hominins were attending natural fires. But the know-how to make fire whenever they wanted, well, that skill seemed to pop up hundreds of thousands of years later. But this one site, at a place called Barnham in Suffolk, is about to fill in that blank and completely rewrite what we thought we knew. Okay, let's unfold our little papercraft world back 400,000 years. We're in a really lush, warm period right after a brutal ice age. Britain is still connected to Europe, and early humans are moving back into this green landscape. And it's right here, next to a small, ordinary-looking pond in Suffolk, that the scene is set for an incredible technological breakthrough. Now, like any good detective story, the case here doesn't hinge on just one single piece of evidence. Nope. It's all about 3 key pieces found together in the perfect context. The researchers even call it a contextual triad. So let's break down these clues, one by one. So imagine us peeling back the layers of soil, right? Each layer is like a page in a 400,000-year-old book. And the first clue we find is something that, honestly, just shouldn't be there. It's a tool that points not just to fire, but to some serious planning. And here it is, the crucial piece of the puzzle: iron pyrite. This is a mineral that, when you strike it against a hard rock like flint, creates these amazing high-temperature sparks. It's basically one half of a prehistoric strike-alike kit. Okay, this is where the evidence gets really, really compelling. Geologists checked, and this pyrite does not occur naturally at this spot. At all. It was brought here. This wasn't some lucky, accidental find. This was a deliberate act. These hominins knew exactly what this stuff was, what it could do, and they carried it with them. Get this, the nearest place to find this mineral was over 7.5 miles away. Just think about that. This proves they identified a useful material, knew where to go get it, and then carried it all that way for a task they were planning to do later. That is a massive cognitive leap, showing a kind of abstract, long-term planning we used to think only much later humans were capable of. So our second big clue comes from the stone tools they left behind. They were found right there with the pyrite, and they have their own story to tell, a story about being exposed to some really intense heat. If you look closely at these flint handaxes, you can see these telltale signs of being superheated really, really fast. See those circular scars? They're called pot lid fractures. They happen when moisture trapped inside the stone literally boils and explodes out. But here's the key. They were all found huddled together in one tight little spot. A wildfire would scorch everything randomly. This concentration, it proves this was a stationary contained campfire, basically a prehistoric workshop. Okay, so we have the fire starter, and we have tools that were clearly burned in a campfire. But how can we be absolutely 100% sure the fire was man-made and not just a natural wildfire? Well, this is where some seriously high-tech forensics come in, letting scientists read invisible chemical clues that were left in the soil. Now, using this high-tech method, scientists were basically able to take the temperature of soil that's 400,000 years old. And as you can see here, they looked at how specific clay minerals in the ground were permanently changed by heat. The results showed that this very spot had been heated over and over again to temperatures above 750 degrees Celsius. That is not the signature of a quick-burning grass fire. That is the undeniable heat signature of a long-lasting, wood-fueled campfire. And this is the final proof. It's brilliant. Scientists also looked at chemicals called PAHs. Now, natural wildfires create this sort of widespread background noise of light pHs all over the landscape. But the soil right here at Barnham, it showed a huge, concentrated spike of heavy PAHs. That's the specific chemical fingerprint of burning wood in one contained spot. The fire was local, it was controlled, and it was undeniably man-made. So the archaeological case is closed. The evidence is solid, but the human story? Oh, that's just getting started. Now we get to unfold the really profound implications this one little spark had for the evolution of our own modern minds. What this all shows is that making fire isn't just one simple action. No way. It's a whole sophisticated chain of behaviors. It shows abstract planning, a basic grasp of material science, some pretty complex motor skills, and almost certainly social learning. You had to teach this skill to the next generation. These are all hallmarks of thinking that we once thought belonged only to much more recent humans, but here they are, 400,000 years ago. But with this new, powerful brain developing, how did our ancestors even fuel it? I mean, brains are incredibly expensive, energy-wise. To grow a bigger one, our bodies had to make a serious trade-off. And this is explained by something called the expensive tissue hypothesis. Cooking food over controlled fire was the absolute key. It basically outsources a huge part of digestion. See, cooked food is way easier to break down, so our bodies could evolve smaller, less energy-hungry guts. And all that freed up metabolic energy was rerouted straight to our heads, fueling a massive expansion of our brains. And what's amazing is the Barnum timeline fits perfectly with the exact period in the fossil record when hominin brain size really starts to explode. And the campfire didn't just cook our food. It cooked up a whole new kind of society. For the first time ever, the day didn't just end when the sun went down. This newfound time, free from the constant work of hunting and gathering, it became a social incubator. Around the fire, people could make tools, they could strengthen bonds, and maybe, just maybe, this is where the first complex languages started. And of course, it was this warmth and light that finally allowed our ancestors to survive and thrive in the colder northern climates. This one sentence from the research just captures this huge shift perfectly. It's the difference between being a passive user of something you find in nature and becoming an active engineer of your own world. Our ancestors were no longer just at the mercy of a lucky lightning strike. They were now masters of the flame. So, the big takeaway from this incredible detective story is that the cognitive and social toolkit that makes us modern humans, well, it has roots that go far deeper in time than we ever knew. That spark lit at Barnum 400,000 years ago wasn't just a fire. It was really the dawn of a new kind of human consciousness. Which leaves us with a final, really fascinating question to think about. With the darkness held back for the very first time, what stories, what plans, what amazing new ideas were shared in the light of that ancient fire? Thank you so much for spending your time learning with us today. If you found this insightful, please like, comment with what surprised you most, and subscribe to InfoNow for more deep dives into our world's history.